This is John with All Utah Home Repair. I'm here in front of this furnace today to show you, the homeowners, some small maintenance things that you can do that are safe for you to do before you would need to call a professional. I do recommend that you do have a professional do the many point checkups that can be done on a furnace. But today I'm going to show you some minor things that you can do to keep your equipment running and safely, but mostly to take care of the equipment. So I'm going to start by when you go to your furnace, the first thing you want to do for care of it is just give it a once over, a good look. Like for example, this is the venting. This venting right here, what it does is it will carry out the unburnt fuels and whatnot out through this pipe, and then it actually ends up leaving the home out above the roof, whatnot. So if there's any bad fumes in here, which can be carbon monoxide, we know what that does, it's harmful to us, it takes it out. You want to make sure that it's secure and that it has an angle to get it out of here. It doesn't always have to be the flex pipe like this. Sometimes it's a hard pipe, whatnot, but you do want it to be secure, not off of it or anything like that. These tubes here are just for the air conditioning, so they're used when the air conditioner is running. The air conditioner always makes a little bit of moisture and will run down the pipe and eventually to a drain. I like to see that those are secure. You can see that, yep, we're secure. This is called a trap. It's holding water in it. You just give it a once over look at it. Over here we have our gas flex and everything. That's looking good. A lot of times I'll just take even my nose and actually smell down by the pipe just like this. Now I actually have a tester. A professional has a tester for that, but a simple smell, and it'll smell like rotten eggs basically, is an indicate you got a leak. Okay, the next thing I like to do is, or will do, to show you guys is some of the tools, which you only need a couple, that starts this process. So what I have is I have a wet dry vacuum cleaner. This we're going to use just for the vacuuming of it. I have a soft brush. This is just the soft type that you can buy at a hardware store. And then I do have a knife. We'll get into that. We have two ways to do something that I'm going to show you. I also have what they call emery cloth. It's like sandpaper, but I don't use sandpaper. I like emery cloth. That's why I also have a knife. I'll show you. And then I have a 1/4 inch nut driver. On these newer furnaces, they have electronic ignition, so you don't have a pilot. What a pilot is it's a small flame. Typically nowadays you only see it in your water heater. At any rate, it's a small flame that always burns. When you need heat in the home, it'll ignite the big burners inside the furnace that actually warms your home. That's not as common anymore, so we have what they call electronic ignition. So there's a part in there that I'll show you soon that will needs to be cleaned once a year so that it can realize that there's flame on and it keeps the furnace running. If that gets dirty, it won't recognize the flame and it will shut the unit off. Very common call for me. I go out and that's the only thing wrong with it is that's dirty. I clean it, the furnace works perfectly. So right now, before I take the doors off or anything, the first thing I do is I go over to the power switch. This one has a cover on it, which is good. Didn't realize it had that one. And I shut the furnace off. So there's no power to it at all. It's just like a light switch, and it'll do. Then I take the front door off. This particular one pulls up. Sometimes they have clips, whatnot, but usually there's a place for your fingers to go to get that door off. We're just going to quickly go through the furnace itself. We have a motor right here. We have a gas valve. We have our burners. And then inside is where all the fire is made. Down here is where the blower is. So to take the door off, I'm going to go to the blower right now at the bottom. of the furnace. This is 90 some percent of the furnaces out there are what they call an upflow furnace. That's what this one is. So we pull the door off there. Now if we take a look inside, I'm just going to take a look. This one's actually pretty clean. It's a newer one. At any rate, I like to take a look in there and see if the blower on it has any dirt. This is the computer board. Now a professional will do some cleaning on that with some air or whatnot. I don't want you guys to do anything with that. That's the computer board. You don't want to hurt any of these little diodes or whatnot, but so I'll have you not do anything with it. But what I do want to do is, this is down here where these little skinny wires are. That's all your thermostat wires. Just kind of give them a little pull, just a very light pull. And as long as they're tight, you're good. And then now that we see that we're pretty clean in here for you, the homeowner, we're saying, okay, we're looking good. We put our door back on so we don't forget. Really easy, as you can see. Now what I'll do is I like to get in and just kind of dust this all off. That's what our brush is for, and our vacuum. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up the vacuum cleaner. It'll be a little bit loud for a minute. Right here we have a silver looking rod right in here, and this is called the flame rod or flame sensor, whatnot, and that's the part that I was talking about that we want to clean. We once a year it wants to be clean. If you get a little bit intimidated about taking it out or whatnot, don't. Have the professional come over. But it is real simple. Typically it's held in one screw, 1/4 inch nut driver screw. It just comes in, you just reach in. You can see that it comes up and through. You can look on top. Some of them are in the front. Most manufacturers keep this very simple thing to get to because they know that it has to be cleaned. And so we take this out. Now I have it in my hand, and if you look real close, you can see on this one, it hasn't been cleaned, it's been more than a year on this one at this particular home we're at. At any rate, it has dark spots on it, whatnot. So what I want to do is I want to clean it up. You don't want to touch this with your fingers. We have oils on our fingers, so as you can see, I'm purposely not touching it with my fingers. I'm holding it at the bottom right here. And so I like using a knife because then I won't get any residue from the emery cloth or whatnot. When I use that, you can do it away from yourself. You're not whittling. You're taking the blade straight on it and away. Now I'll do it like I do on the drone. Notice now if you don't have that, the emery cloth is the second choice. If you don't want to use the knife, a lot of guys do this. It sometimes can leave a little bit of residue, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And you can just giving it a nice little sand. And see how Now it's more silver, more looking good. Now I'll just put this back in the furnace. You don't need to do it Johnny tight. No pun intended. Just nice and tight. Get it snug. And there's that little wire. You saw I took it out. There is a wire connected to it. You might not have seen that. It easily puts back on. You just put it back on, you're good. Okay, you're done with this part. We only have one more check. And that check right there is our filter. There's lots of different filters. Some people have it just slide in and out. Most installers, service people, whatnot, are doing an external filter installation, kind of like how you see here. Sometimes they're in here, and that's fine. If they're in here, well, while you had the door open, you would have taken the filter out and checked it. But it's nice when they're out like this. Now this one, they've got a nice big one. That's kind of the nice thing about having it in there too. We just give it a quick check. Looks like they have just changed this filter. I do recommend a pleated filter, but this is just an inexpensive filter that they chose to use. At least it's something. Please use something. You need to. It helps keep your equipment clean and your home clean. But a pleated filter, everyone's pretty well seen that. It's pleats. It actually does give bigger surface area of cleaning, is what it does. Most filters are directional. This one wants it to go this way. And all of them that you get have an arrow on them, so they're real easy to see. You put it in. On this particular one, it has where you put it in at an angle like that. Just lift it up, put it in, and has a little track, whatnot. This just goes back down here, and voila. So now we've checked our venting, checked our gas piping. But with our nose, if you ever smell even the slightest little bit, call a professional. Gas is nothing to mess with. Filter, we've cleaned our flame sensor, flame rod, whichever way you want to call it. We have lightly cleaned with a soft brush. Now it's time to fire it up to see how it goes. The order of sequence on most of the furnaces out there that are past 1985, something like that, they have this order of sequence. This little blower comes on first. It will purge, is what it's doing. It's purging this vent, making sure that it is able to move air. So this comes on, tells the computer. Remember I said we don't mess with the computer. Tells the computer, okay, we're good. Time to get the little glow bar, which you'll probably see that pretty clear in a minute. That gets red hot, enough, 2,000 degrees to get this thing fired up. Then it opens this gas valve. Gas flows through here into there, ignites because of the 2,000 degree hot surface igniter, fires it up. Flame rod, flame sensor realizes that there's flame, tells the computer, says, hey, we're good to go. And then after that, it's usually the computer has a 90-second or 120-second, whatever it's set at from the manufacturer, or some of them can be adjustable. At any rate, then the actual blower will turn on, heat the home, thermostat finally says, hey, we're nice and warm inside, I've done my job, and it shuts everything down. The blower will be the last thing to go off because it cools down the combustion chamber a little bit and gets the final amount of heat out of the unit before it just shuts down. So it's normal for everything to shut off except for the blower, and then 2 minutes later, something like that, the blower will shut down and wait for the next time to heat your home.